Hi, I'm Greg Funfgeld. I'm the conductor of the Bach Choir of Bethlehem and the Bach Festival Orchestra, and I'm really happy to be here with my good friend Eugene Albulescu, who's on the faculty of Lehigh University and conducts the Lehigh University Philharmonic. Eugene, great to see you.
Likewise.
We are really excited to share with you the news of a collaboration between the Lehigh Orchestra and the Bach Choir of Bethlehem that's going to happen next April. You can get information at the Lehigh website or at the Bach website, which is bach.org. But we are putting the Bach Choir of Bethlehem along with the choir from the Cathedral Church of the Nativity on the south side of Bethlehem and the chancel choir of the First Presbyterian Church together for a concert with Eugene's fabulous, wonderfully gifted student orchestra here at Lehigh. And we're going to be doing a program. I'll let Eugene tell you a little bit about the program, but we're both very excited about this collaboration.
Absolutely. So this came about as Lehigh is celebrating 150 years of Lehigh, and we were, in preparation for that celebration, we were asked to look for curricular material in our programming that has to do with the Lehigh tradition. And so given obviously how great respect I had for the Bach Choir, I thought immediately of, well, how long has the Bach Choir been associated with Lehigh? And I found out that it was in the 3 digits. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it was over 100 years?
Yes, we started doing our festivals here in 1912 at Packer Memorial Church, which is still the home of the annual Bach Festival in May. So the relationship between Lehigh and the Bach Choir is very long, 102 years and going strong.
And furthermore, I found that there's a very rich history of Lehigh students volunteering for those festivals and in fact attending many of them. And so because of that, we thought, wouldn't it be nice to invite you guys over so we do a concert. This is a fantastic opportunity to celebrate tradition, invite the choir over to in our midst, and give the students a great experience. We also, I should also mention that the Bach Choir has its own orchestra normally, the Bach Festival Orchestra, I believe it's called, and we are asking various members from that orchestra to join us on this occasion, so that there will be some hands-on exchanging of experience that students will be able to sit, I should say, and share a stand with the partner that's a professional from the Bach Orchestra. So that's we're really looking forward to that.
Great. And our educational programs have meant a great deal to us. In the last 20 or 25 years or so, we have been very intentional about educational outreach, and we love these collaborations. We went out to the Baldwin Wallace University, which has a Bach festival that a few years ago celebrated its 75th anniversary, patterned on the Bach Festival in Bethlehem, which is the oldest in America, and we collaborated with the students of that university with our choir. We've done things with the choir at Millersville University where our orchestra would go, but the kids from Millersville University would sing. We've worked with all kinds of dance ensembles from local schools, both the Lehigh Valley Charter School for the Performing Arts, DeSales, Repertory Dance Theater. But these opportunities for our professional players and singers and the members of our choir, who are among the most experienced singers anywhere around, to work with students, there's an energy that comes from that, and we're very excited about tapping into that. Why don't, Eugene, why don't you tell them about the repertoire we're doing?
Well, three magnificent pieces from the canon, I should say. One of them is, of course, the Symphony of Psalms of Stravinsky. This means a great deal to us programmatically because it is a piece that is a standard part of the orchestral repertoire that doesn't get very often performed. I should say that earlier in the season we are performing the Symphony No. 7 of Shostakovich, and there is a link between the two pieces, not just in terms of the inspiration, but the Leningrad Symphony No. 7 of Shostakovich was composed during the Second World War, and 3 movements were composed in Leningrad during the siege of 1942, and he eventually was flown away, where he composed the 4th movement. And he was able to only take a few things with him because he was literally lifted. They found a break in the bombardment, and they said, now you have to go now with your family, and just take like 1 suitcase. And he took the piece that he was writing, the 7th Symphony. He took a work that it almost cost him his life, an opera called Lady Macbeth of Mizinsk, that Stalin decried in a very awful Pravda review. And then he took the Symphony of Psalms of Stravinsky, which was his most cherished work. Years later, he made a piano arrangement of that piece and presented it to Stravinsky. Supposedly Stravinsky treated him quite cruelly.
Oh.
But in any case, there is a kind of programmatic link between what we're playing on our first program in this season and what we're playing on the last program this season with the Bach Choir. So that was a very, just an incredibly cool piece to find. And of course we're playing the Ode to Santa Cecilia by Handel, and we're doing an arrangement of that piece by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart for full classical orchestra. Tell us more about that.
Well, the great thing about the Ode for St. Cecilia's Day is that Handel wrote this really fabulous music, very picturesque music. There's battle scenes and there's beautiful serenades for the soprano and tenor soloists, and at the end this epic long fugue. But Handel sets the poem by John Dryden called the Ode for St. Cecilia's Day. St. Cecilia, of course, being the patron saint of music. So it's all about music. Music as balm for the soul, music as what stirs us to battle, to triumph and victory. And there's the place where he talks about through all the compass of the notes it ran, and all of the sections of the choir sing these octave leaps up and down through all the compass of the notes it ran, that kind of thing. And it's very cool in the way he paints pictures about music and celebrating this patron saint. And of course Mozart, I think, loved this piece, and as he had done with Messiah and a number of other works, he reorchestrates it and fills out the orchestra with all the instruments of the classical symphony, as Eugene said. And so you get this fabulous Baroque music, but then with this wonderful classical rich orchestration, and it's just it's very exciting to encounter that. And I just want to add to what Eugene said about the Stravinsky Symphony of Psalms. The singers in the choirs are very excited to sing this piece. For a lot of people who know choral music well, I think they would say the Stravinsky Symphony of Psalms is one of the iconic works of the 20th century. And the way he sets the texts, again, it goes from this sort of very mysterious and reverent, almost awestruck, to exuberant and very ebullient, joyful, and then and everything in between. It's just in 3 movements for just the chorus and the orchestra. It really is quite extraordinary, without a break, yeah. And why don't you say a little bit about the orchestration?
The orchestration of the Symphony of Psalms is notable, not because of what it has, but what it doesn't have. Specifically upper strings. Right. We only have cellos and basses, and then the rest of the orchestra, but there's no violins, and there's no violas. And so the sound is actually very dark because of that. There are no high-pitched, so the only high-pitched sheen you have is what he gathers from the winds. But because of that, the winds have an incredible color to them. And of course there's the choir. There's 2 pianos. It's a very interesting piece, and you could see why so many people were so fascinated by it. 3 psalms that he used, 38, 40, and 150.
150.
And I think both works, the Handel and the Stravinsky, celebrate in some way the power of music, because I think 150 talks about symbols, and it is it really is all about the power of music. As a matter of fact, the Handel Ode is actually quite, I find it quite Pythagorean, very kind of music of the spheres. Music is so great, it could do incredible things, as we know that to be the case. So we're excited about these two works. The third work on the program is one that I'm going to be conducting and playing at the same time. It is the fantasy, choral fantasy by Ludwig van Beethoven. It is one of the greatest pieces that he wrote. Some people call it Ninth Symphony Light, in that a lot of the gist and the affect of the poem is the same, although not written by Schiller. I think it was a nameless, not nameless obviously, but not very well known poet that did the text, but he did it at Beethoven's behest. Beethoven specified exactly what he wanted in there. So this is for 6 soloists, piano and choir and orchestra. And it is a fantasy, and it's notable because this is one of the 3 pieces that Beethoven wrote that resembles a fantasy. Of course, a fantasy style is something that would be improvised. Beethoven wrote 2 sonatas for the keyboard, for piano, that he called quasi una fantasia, which means like a fantasy. Not quite a fantasy, but kind of. The one that we, of course, know very well is the first one in C sharp minor that later became known as the Moonlight Sonata. And of course there's the choral fantasy, which was a real fantasy. And we know that for a fact because of the first performance, the large part for the piano, the large cadenza that opens it, that's the actual fantasy part, he actually made up in concert and only later wrote down. So it's a fascinating piece, and of course it would have been conducted from the keyboard back then, and so this is part of what I like to research in my research here at Lehigh, is the lost tradition of conducting from the keyboard of the great conductor, composer, performers such as Mozart, Beethoven, but others too. So it will be an amazing performance, hopefully.
Well, I have no doubt that it will be brilliant as you play and conduct, but it is, you really do hear the Ninth Symphony coming down the road. I mean, you hear the themes and the ideas and the way he uses the chorus and then the 6 vocal soloists. It's like you just say, oh wow, this is the forerunner of something really magnificent. And of course, the way Beethoven takes these symphonic works, in this case, it's almost like a piano concerto with chorus and solos.
Pretty much.
And so it's just great fun. It's thrilling music. I mean, there are just times that it raises the hair right off the back of your neck, and you know, it's just ecstatic. And so I think it'll be great for me. I get to sit in the audience and listen to that piece, and I'm very much looking forward to it. In this performance, we're going to have about 200 singers from the different choirs, and then we're going to have the great students here at Lehigh in the orchestra, and then we'll be joined by 6 professional soloists. 2 of them I want to mention in particular. One is Laurie Himes, and the other is Ben Butterfield. Laurie lives outside of Princeton. She sings all over the Northeast, has done a lot of our Bach at Noon concerts, has sung with us regularly. She is a really fabulous singer, and singing these gorgeous arias in the Handel about the beauty and the joy of music. And then Ben comes down from Victoria, where he teaches at the university there. He is just a fabulous tenor, does a lot of opera, concert work, beautiful Bach singer. Funny as all get out, and just personality for days. I think the kids from the university will love being in the company of these singers, and it's just another way that the richness kind of spreads, you know. I mean, I think we're going to learn a lot from the kids, and you catch that passion and the enthusiasm and the openness, and hopefully the kids will learn a lot from the professional members of the orchestra, the soloists, the choir who've been doing it for so long and love it so much. I guess I feel as I get older, and I'm older than my good friend here and colleague, but it's so important that we reach out to young people and give them the best we can of what we know about music and the privilege of making music in community. You know, I always think if we're not doing this, if we're not taking an active role in nurturing the next generation, then shame on us. And more I ask people, what have you done? What have you actually done to bring a young person to a concert, to open them to the music, to say this is something that will last forever? It's just a great thing to have in your life. Don't miss it. So please come join us at the concert. We look forward to seeing you there, and go to the website at Lehigh, Zoellner. What's the Zoellner website? Uh-oh. Okay. The Lehigh...
I think it's... Zoellner website is zoellnerartscenter.org.
Okay. zoellnerartscenter.org and
they can
Bach.org.
go there to get tickets, and Bach.org, of course.
Great.
I wanted to add something to what you said. You could put it earlier if you wanted, when you edit. What you were saying about the inspiring the new generation. This is what we do here with the students, and specifically the interesting thing for Lehigh is that our students are not conservatory musicians.
Yes.
They're by and large engineers. Orchestra is made up of a large amount of non-music students. Those are people that took music very seriously in their youth, took 10 years of violin, but then went into physics or engineering or political science or international relations or chemistry, you name it, and they come to Lehigh because they can play in an ensemble that does stuff like this.
Yes.
And we also have very little by way of music appreciation classes. That's because as a department we focused on the inside the ensemble experience. So, you know, most of our students will not go on to become professional musicians, but because they've experienced works like the Symphony of Psalms, working with groups like the Bach Choir, they are going to be our new audience.
Yes.
Our new patrons, our new donors, our new people who commission works. We have already alums from our ensembles that have been on the boards of major orchestras, and so that's a huge achievement, simply because they understand that music is important in their lives, and they become activists for the cause of music, and so we were really happy about that.
I think that's so brilliant what you just said, and it makes me think of the members of those choirs, those 200 singers. Many of them are not professional musicians. Some are music teachers, church musicians, composers. They teach in colleges and universities, but many of them are what Robert Shaw used to say are amateurs. We all say amateurs, but the definition of amateur is someone who does it because they love it.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do, it's not a pejorative term in its best, but it's like these kids who are science majors or international relations or whatever, but they love the music and the idea that they can come together and make music, and not just like for us in our community in the world of the Bach Choir or the Lehigh Orchestra in the world of the Lehigh Orchestra, but to kind of meet in the middle and to create something that is very special and very unique. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I hope that everybody who can come will come.
Yeah,
that's great.